The ache without a name. Dear God, I don't know how to explain this. It's not sadness, not exactly loneliness, and not quite grief. But something in me aches. Quietly, constantly. Like a homesickness for a place I've never seen. Like a longing for a world I've never lived in. Like my soul remembers something my body never knew. I wake up feeling out of place, even in my own life. I walk through the day like a guest in someone else's story. Everything looks fine, but nothing feels right. Like I'm wearing shoes that don't quite fit. Smiling in rooms that feel too loud, too bright, too not mine. God, is there a word for this kind of restlessness? This ache for home when I don't even know what home means anymore? Because it's not a childhood house, not a person, not a country or a culture. It's deeper than that, older than that, quieter. Sometimes I think I was born with it, this soft yearning stitched into my spirit. It hums when I'm alone. It stirs when the world goes silent. It whispers, there's more, but it's not here. And I try to name it. I try to fill it with distraction, with work, with people, with God talk, with faith talk. But nothing quiets it. Nothing satisfies it. It just waits. Patient and persistent. Like a sacred echo of something lost. God, do you know this feeling? Did you ever long for something unnamed when you walk the earth? Did your spirit ever ache in a room full of people? Did you ever feel like you didn't belong, even when you were surrounded? I think this ache is holy somehow. Not a flaw, not a failure, but maybe a signal. Maybe this longing isn't something to fix. Maybe it's a compass. Maybe it points to something real. Not in this life, but in the space beyond it. A place where souls are no longer strangers to themselves. Where restlessness finally rests. Where we're known not by what we do or say or earn, but by what we are. And still, here I am. Wandering, searching, longing. Not broken, just misplaced. So I bring this to you, Lord, this ache with no name, this homesickness with no map, this exile without a cause. I offer it to you not for fixing, but for holding. Maybe if I let you hold it, I won't have to. Maybe if I let you see it, I'll feel less invisible. Maybe if I let you in, I'll feel less far from home. And if I never find where I belong on this earth, then let me belong in you. Because you are the only place that has ever felt safe enough to ache out loud. Amen.
A soul out of sync. God, have you ever watched everyone else move in rhythm and realized you don't know the steps? That's what it feels like. Like I'm always one beat behind or a breath ahead. Like I'm dancing to music no one else can hear while they move in perfect time with a song I don't even recognize. It's exhausting, Lord, to be out of sync with the world. I watch others slip into life like it fits, like the clothes they wear were made for them, like the jobs, the friendships, the conversations just click. But me? I fumble. I pretend. I smile in all the right moments, say all the right words, but inside, I'm trying to find where I begin and where this life ends. There's a quiet panic that builds when you feel like the outsider in a life that's supposed to be your own. God, it's not that I'm broken. I know that now. It's not that I'm lazy or antisocial or dramatic. It's that my soul has always been tuned to a frequency this world doesn't broadcast. And so I wander, not from place to place, but from feeling to feeling, trying to locate myself in a map that doesn't include me. Have you seen me, Lord? Have you watched me nod and say, "I'm fine," when what I really mean is, I feel like I'm standing in the wrong timeline? I don't want to keep surviving like this, out of step, out of place, out of touch. But I don't know how to sync myself with a world that moves so differently from me. God, what if I was never meant to fit? What if this out of sync feeling isn't a curse, but a call? What if you allowed this ache so I wouldn't get too comfortable here? So I wouldn't confuse this temporary chapter with the final story? Because truthfully, when I stop resisting the feeling, when I let myself feel it, it almost feels sacred, like a holy homesickness, a reminder that I was made for something more than this culture of hurry, noise, performance, and surface smiles. Maybe I'm not out of sync. Maybe I'm just in sync with something deeper, with something eternal, something yours. But still, it's hard. It's lonely. It's confusing. So I come to you again, not with a request, but with a confession. Lord, I feel like a misplaced soul, like I was dropped into this world with no instructions and no tribe. I smile at parties, but feel safest in silence. I talk to people, but understand trees better. I show up to life, but feel like I'm always passing through. Do you see that, God? Can you walk with me in this space between, where I am not lost, but not found, not despairing, but not home? Because I think I've tried to fix this too long, tried to force myself to sync up with a tempo that tires me. But now, maybe I just need to surrender, not to the world, but to you. Let me walk out of step if it means I'm walking with you. Let me feel strange if it means I'm staying true. Let me ache if it keeps me honest. Let me not belong if it means I'll never forget where I truly do. And until the day my soul finally finds its perfect rhythm, let your presence be enough to steady my steps in the silence between beats. Amen.
I don't belong here, and I don't know where I do. Dear God, some days I look around and think, this isn't it. This isn't home. And the strange thing is, I can't even say what home would be. It's not where I grew up. It's not where I live now. It's not in a person or a place or a memory. It's a feeling, a knowing, a soft safety I've never fully tasted, but can somehow describe. Like something written on my soul before I was born. God, what do you call that? That quiet, gnawing certainty that I don't belong here, but I can't name where I do. It's like I'm living on the edge of something real, but never allowed to cross over. Always close, but not quite home. I try to settle. I tell myself, this is life. This is what it is. Work, sleep, try, repeat. Put on the smile, play the role, find contentment in little things. Be grateful. But the truth is, even when I do all the right things, I still feel misplaced. Like a book on the wrong shelf. Like a star trying to shine in daylight. Like a soul that keeps knocking on doors
that were never meant to open. I don't fit, Lord. Not here. Not in this way. Not in these shapes the world says I should mold into. And I've tried. God, you know I've tried. I've tried being the version of me that pleases others, the polite one, the productive one, the pleasing one. I've tried shrinking myself to blend in. I've tried stretching myself to reach some imagined place where I'll finally feel enough. But it never lasts, because deep down, something always whispers, this isn't where you're supposed to stay. But where am I supposed to be, Lord? I don't want to wander forever. I don't want to keep floating through this life like a visitor. I want to belong. I want to rest in a moment and feel, this is mine. I'm home now. But every time I think I've found it, a group, a job, a rhythm, even a church, I eventually feel that same quiet pull. Keep going. This isn't it. God, it's so disorienting to be surrounded by people who seem so sure, so rooted, so content, while I carry this rootless ache. I don't want to envy them, but sometimes I do. I envy their belonging, their certainty, their ability to just be. Me, I'm always becoming, always unraveling and reshaping, always aching for a there I can't define. But yet, Lord, if I'm honest, maybe you're the only place I've ever felt truly allowed to be rootless, to be raw, to be restless and still wanted. So tonight, instead of pretending I've figured it out, I just want to rest in the truth. I don't belong here, and that's okay. Maybe I belong to something bigger, to something beyond this moment, this place, this version of me. Maybe I'm not meant to find my home, but to remember it and trust that you'll lead me there in your own time. Until then, Lord, be my place. Be the stillness in my search. Be the belonging I can breathe in when everything else feels foreign. Let your presence be my country. Your love be my neighborhood. Your whisper be my shelter. If I don't belong here, then let me belong in you. Amen.
The homesickness for something I've never known. Dear God, it's the strangest kind of homesickness, because I don't miss the place I've been. I miss something I've never actually known. There are no photographs, no addresses, no memories that I can hold with certainty. And yet, the ache is real, so real it wakes me at night. It sits in my chest like a soft, persistent weight, not crushing, but never lifting. How can I miss something I've never touched? How can my heart remember a place my body never lived in? It makes no logical sense, but my soul doesn't deal in logic. It deals in echoes, in symbols, in fragments of something eternal that no word has ever fully captured. God, what is this homesickness? It's not for a childhood home, not for a person I lost, not for a country or a moment in time. It's for a warmth, a safety, a sense of full belonging that this world seems too noisy to offer. Sometimes I feel it faintly, in golden light through leaves, in music that makes me cry for no reason, in a stranger's kindness, in the silence after prayer. For a moment, I almost remember, and then it's gone, like waking up from a dream that left you feeling whole, but you can't remember why. Lord, was there a place before this world where I was fully known? Was there a moment in some eternal before when I rested in your presence
without fear, without shame, without searching? Because that's what I miss, I think. I miss the feeling of being known. Not for what I've done, not for what I can offer, but just for being. I miss the silence that doesn't hurt. I miss the light that doesn't burn. I miss the rest that doesn't require exhaustion first. And yet, I've never been there. How is it possible to feel homesick for something I've never touched? Unless it's a memory written into the bones of my soul. Unless you put the longing there. Maybe this ache isn't a flaw, but a map, a holy compass pointing me home. Maybe the reason I've never quite fit here is because I wasn't made for here. Maybe my spirit remembers something the world forgot how to give. And in that remembering, I ache. But Lord, if I'm going to ache, let it be a sacred ache. Let it remind me that I was made for more than this chaos, this shallowness, this pretending. Let it remind me that there's a place where I won't have to earn my belonging. I'll simply be. I don't know what that place looks like. I don't even know if it's a place. Maybe it's a moment. Maybe it's a presence. Maybe it's you. Maybe this homesickness is for you. Not just for heaven, not just for eternity, but for being with you in a way I can't be here. So when this ache swells and I want to run and nothing in this world feels big enough to hold me, remind me, God, it's okay to long for what I can't name. It's okay to miss what I've never seen. Because maybe that longing is the proof that I was made for something eternal. And you will not forget to bring me home. Amen.
When the world feels like a waiting room. Dear God, sometimes this world doesn't feel like a destination. It feels like a waiting room. A quiet, colorless place where souls sit with numbered tickets, watching a clock that never seems to move. I go through the motions. I eat, I work, I talk, I sleep. But underneath it all, I feel like I'm waiting. For what? I'm not even sure. Something to begin? Something to end? Something to finally feel like arrival? It's strange. I look around, and it seems like everyone else is living. They move with urgency. They make plans, buy things, chase dreams, fill their schedules to the brim, like this is it, like this life is the big show. But me? I feel like I'm just sitting, like I'm in a hallway between doors, like I'm not quite here and not yet wherever I'm meant to be. And it's not that I'm ungrateful. I'm thankful for breath, for moments of joy, for kindness and laughter. But even in those, there's a flicker of distance, a subtle whisper. This isn't the whole story. God, why does everything feel like prelude? I try to tell myself that this is real, that I'm here now, and this is enough. But then that old ache creeps in, the feeling that something sacred is still waiting just beyond the horizon. And I wonder, is it wrong to feel like this world isn't quite home? Is it wrong to sit in the middle of a life that looks full on the outside, but feels hollow on the inside? Or is it a holy sign that I'm still listening? Because if I ever stopped feeling this pull, this quiet unrest, this nudge toward more, I might settle for less than I was made for. So maybe this waiting room feeling is not failure. Maybe it's faith. Maybe I'm not stuck. Maybe I'm still becoming. Maybe I'm not late. Maybe I'm exactly where you want me while you prepare me
for what I cannot yet carry. God, if this life is a waiting room, then let me wait with purpose. Let me not stare at the clock in frustration, but look for glimpses of eternity between the ticking seconds. Let me not numb myself with noise and distraction, but stay awake enough to hear your whisper in the silence. Let me not waste this waiting wishing it away, but press into it, asking what it's teaching me. Because maybe the waiting isn't empty. Maybe it's sacred. Maybe you are in the waiting as much as in the arrival. Maybe the ache to arrive is what keeps me close to you. So if this is the hallway, then walk it with me. If this is the in-between, then speak to me here. If this world is the waiting room, then be the one who holds my hand until the door opens. And if the door never opens in this lifetime, if the arrival isn't here but beyond, then let my waiting be worship. Let my restlessness become reverence. Let me know that even the waiting is not wasted when it's held by you. Amen.
God, do you know this ache too? Dear God, tonight I need to ask you something that I've never had the courage to say out loud before. Do you know this ache? Not just see it, not just hear it in our prayers, but truly feel it. Have you ever felt what I feel? The nameless ache, the holy hunger, the sense that even when you're surrounded, you're still somehow alone. I imagine you walking among us once, skin wrapped around divinity, feet dusty with earth, eyes that saw through the surface of every smile. Did you ache then too? Did you walk through crowded streets and still feel like no one truly knew you? Did you ever sit at a table, laughing with friends, but sense that they didn't fully understand the weight you carried? Did you miss something even while being in the middle of everything? Because that's what this ache feels like. It's not just sadness. It's not just discontent. It's the ache of carrying something eternal in a world that only deals in temporary things. It's the longing to be known in ways deeper than language, to be met in places too hidden for even ourselves to reach. God, when you wept at Lazarus's tomb, was it only grief for a friend? Or was it also that deeper ache, the pain of knowing that even miracles don't fully satisfy the soul's hunger for home? When you withdrew to lonely places to pray, was it because the noise of the world was too much for a heart that remembered heaven? Did your soul ever whisper, "This isn't it, not yet"? If you did feel it, then maybe we're not crazy. Maybe we're not too sensitive, too dramatic, too broken. Maybe we're just awake in a world that's mostly asleep. Maybe the ache isn't a flaw, but a reflection of you in us. A divine homesickness that reminds us we come from more than this, that we carry traces of eternity in our very breathing. So tonight, God, I don't need you to fix the ache. I just need to know you understand it, that you've felt it, that you've sat in it, that you've carried it, and still carry us now in it. Because if you've known this longing, then we're not alone in ours. If you've missed heaven while walking on earth, then we can trust that our ache is not madness, but memory. A memory of something we once had, or something we were made for, or something that still waits for us in you. So when this ache swells again, when the loneliness sharpens even in the middle of company, when I feel like I don't belong in the rooms I walk through, let me remember this. Even God knows what it is to ache. Even God knows what it is to long. Even God knows what it is to walk with full divinity and still feel the silence of being misunderstood. And that makes me feel less lost. If you've been there, then you are here now. And maybe the ache isn't something I must run from, but a place I can meet you in. So stay with me here, God, in this holy ache, this sacred homesickness, this restless longing for the place I cannot name.
If I can't escape it, at least let me not bear it alone. Amen.
The silent suffering of spiritual displacement. Dear God, there is a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It doesn't bleed or break anything you can see. It just quietly hollows you out. That's what spiritual displacement feels like. Not an explosion, not a storm, but a slow, invisible drifting away from places that once felt sacred and now feel strange. I don't know when it happened. There was no single moment of betrayal, no loud exit or final goodbye. But somehow, somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling at home in the spaces where I once felt safe. The churches, the prayers, the songs I used to sing with my whole heart. Now they echo. Now they bounce off walls I didn't build and leave me wondering if the distance is my fault or just part of the journey. God, what do I do when the very places that once connected me to you now feel like museums of someone else's faith? I sit in a room full of worship, but I feel like a ghost. I bow my head in prayer, but I don't know what to say anymore. I read sacred words, but they feel like stories told to someone else, someone more certain, more welcome, more rooted than me. This isn't rebellion. This isn't bitterness. This is loss. And it's quiet. And it hurts in places too deep to name. Spiritual displacement, not from you, but from the structures that were supposed to carry me to you. God, do you see how lonely that is? To still believe in you, but not know where to belong with that belief? To carry faith like a secret, because the spaces that speak your name no longer feel like they speak to me. I miss feeling anchored. I miss feeling part of something bigger. I miss walking into a room and sensing that I didn't have to prove my worth before I was allowed to worship. But now, I carry my faith like a candle in the wind, shielded by cupped hands, afraid it will flicker out if I expose it too long to the noise around me. God, is there room in your heart for the spiritually displaced? For those who still long for you, but don't know how to find you in the places they were taught to? For those who don't want to walk away, but can't keep pretending that everything still fits? I don't need certainty right now. I don't need answers or dogma. I just need presence. I need to know that even if I feel like I don't belong anywhere, I still belong to you. Even if I no longer fit in a building, a label, a community, or a category, your love still fits around me like skin. So tonight, Lord, I offer you this displaced heart, not to fix, but to hold. Help me trust that even wandering souls are never out of reach. And if all I ever have is a quiet faith that doesn't quite fit the mold, Let it still be sacred. Let it still be home. Amen. The longing that won't leave me. Dear God, it's still here. This longing, this quiet ache that follows me like a shadow. Not loud, not heavy, but unshakable. I've tried to silence it, tried to outrun it, tried to bury it in busyness, noise, logic, even faith rituals. But it remains, lingering, persistent, like a hum beneath every good day, like an empty space that even joy can't quite fill. Why won't it go away? I don't understand what it wants from me. I feed it beautiful things, sunrises, music, friendship, prayer. I distract it with productivity. I soothe it with gratitude. But still it stays. And maybe that's not a punishment. Maybe this longing is not here to wound me, but to wake me. Because if I had no longing, I might settle for less. If I had no ache, I might mistake comfort for wholeness. If I felt completely satisfied here, I might stop searching for you in the deeper places. God, what if this longing is the only thing that keeps me facing heaven? What if it's the compass you tucked inside my chest to remind me where I'm going when the world gets loud? Still, I'm tired. This constant tug of war between trying to embrace the now and secretly wishing for something more, it wears on the soul. I just want peace. I just want to rest in this moment without feeling the undercurrent of something missing. But no matter how much I grow, evolve, or trust, this longing won't leave me. So maybe, God, instead of fighting it, I should sit with it. Maybe I should stop treating it as an enemy and learn to listen to what it's saying. Because if I'm honest, this longing reminds me I still feel, that I haven't gone numb, that I haven't become so cynical that I stopped believing something greater is possible. It reminds me that my soul still remembers a kind of love, a kind of home, a kind of belonging that this world only hints at in flashes. Maybe that's why it won't leave. Because it's not supposed to. Because it can't. Because it is me. The part of me that's still reaching for the divine, even when my hands are tired. So tonight, Lord, I won't try to push it away. I won't numb it. I won't explain it. I won't ask you to remove it. Instead, I'll let it speak. Let it sing its song of hunger and hope. Let it rest beside me like an old friend who doesn't need to say anything, just be here. And if I must carry this longing for the rest of my days, then let it carry me closer to you. Let it keep me tender, keep me humble, keep me open. Let it be the quiet reminder that I was made for a kingdom not built by hands, and that someday, when I finally stand in the place where the longing ends, I'll recognize it, because I felt it all along. Amen.
Searching for a home I can't describe. Dear God, I don't know how to explain what I'm looking for, because I've never seen it. I've never been there. And yet I search for it every day. It's not a house. It's not a city. It's not a person or a past. It's something deeper, a place of the soul, a resting place for my spirit, a home that doesn't exist in geography. And I feel crazy sometimes, chasing after something I can't describe. How do you find a place when you don't even know what it looks like? But God, I swear it's real.
I feel it in my bones, not as a fantasy, not as a wish, but as a memory I was born with, a silent truth pulsing beneath everything I do. I've looked everywhere. I've rearranged my life, moved cities, left people, joined new communities, started over again and again, hoping this would be the place that finally feels like mine. But no matter where I go, that soft emptiness follows. Like a room with all the right furniture, but none of the warmth. Like a smile in a photo, but without the feeling behind it. What am I looking for, Lord? A belonging that doesn't ask me to shrink. A peace that doesn't require performance. A stillness that feels earned, not escaped into. I want to walk into a space and exhale the weight I've been carrying for so long without anyone asking why I was holding it in the first place. I want to feel the walls lean toward me, not watch them silently assess if I'm too much. But more than anything, I want to feel met, not just seen, not just tolerated, but known, the way only you know me. So I search, not with maps or logic, but with longing, with instincts I can't name, with gut feelings, with the ache that sharpens every time something feels almost right, but not quite. And sometimes I wonder, maybe I'm not supposed to find the home I'm imagining. Maybe it's not on this earth. Maybe it's in you. Or maybe home isn't even a destination. Maybe it's a moment, a sacred alignment, a thin place where the eternal and the earthly touch for just a second, and something inside says, yes, this is what you've been aching for. I've had glimpses, brief flashes in worship, in laughter with someone who gets me, in sunsets that feel like they're whispering secrets, in prayers when I feel seen without speaking, and then it's gone. But for a second, I almost touch it. So I keep searching, not because I'm dissatisfied with what I have, but because I know there's something more. Because my soul was made to remember what this world tries to make me forget. And maybe I'll never be able to describe it in words. Maybe that's okay, because you know. You know the shape of the home I long for. You know the exact feeling I'm chasing. You know how to lead me there, even when I can't name it myself. So tonight, God, I lay down my striving. I stop trying to name what only you can reveal. And I simply pray this: if I never find a home that fits me in this life, then let me live like a pilgrim who walks in peace anyway, because she knows her true home is already waiting. And the ache is just the compass. Amen.
I miss a warmth that was never mine. Dear God, how do you explain missing something you've never actually had? Not lost, just never held, never touched, never known in the physical world, but somehow deeply remembered. That's how this feels. Like I'm grieving the absence of a comfort I was never given. Like I'm longing for a warmth that never wrapped around me, but still left an imprint. Is it possible, Lord, that I was created with the memory of being loved before I ever knew love here? That my soul remembers what it feels like to be held without condition, to be known without performance, to be safe without needing to earn it? Because that's what I miss. I miss the kind of love that doesn't keep score, the kind of embrace that doesn't ask me to shrink, the kind of presence that doesn't walk away just because I'm not easy to carry. But I've never truly had that, not in full, not in a way that stayed. And yet, the ache remains. The emptiness where that warmth should be never stops humming. It pulses through quiet nights, echoes in hollow conversations, bleeds into my prayers as if to say, there was supposed to be more. And God, I believe you know exactly what I mean. Because if I was made in your image, then maybe this longing isn't a weakness. It's a whisper of my design, a divine hunger for the kind of connection that this world can only imitate in fragments. I don't blame anyone. I'm not angry at the people who couldn't love me like that. They were just as lost, just as fragile. But still, the child in me mourns what never was. The steady arms, the calm voice, the room that always welcomed, the gaze that never turned away. Sometimes I think I spend my whole life trying to recreate what I never received, trying to earn the warmth I was never given freely, trying to find that original safety in people, in places, in praise. But it never lasts. It was never theirs to give. Because that kind of warmth, the deep, wordless, unconditional kind, only comes from you. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the reason I miss what I never had is because you placed the blueprint of love in my very being. Maybe the ache isn't a wound, but a window, a way my soul remembers you even when my heart forgets. So tonight, God, I lay the grief down. Not because it doesn't matter, but because I finally know where it belongs. Not in self-pity, not in resentment, but in surrender. I miss a warmth that was never mine, but I know now it's still real. It existed before I did. It exists in you. And someday, in ways beyond language, I will feel it again. Fully, finally, forever. Until then, wrap me in the echo of it, cover me in its memory, and let my longing lead me not to despair, but to you. Amen.
A prayer for the ones who wander. Dear God, this is a prayer for the ones who don't have a map, for the ones who keep walking, even when they no longer know where the road leads, for the souls who left comfort behind, not because they were reckless, but because something deeper was calling. This is for the wanderers, the ones who didn't choose easy paths, the ones who grew tired of pretending, the ones who couldn't settle in places that only asked for their silence, not their truth. This is a prayer for those who wake up feeling far from home, even when they're in their own beds, who carry questions in their chest like stones in their pockets, who long for something more, not because they're ungrateful, but because they're awake. God, you've always had a soft spot for wanderers, haven't you? You met Hagar in the wilderness. You walked with the Israelites through their desert years. You left the 99 to find the one. You called disciples from fishing boats and told them to follow without even explaining where. So maybe wandering isn't failure. Maybe it's sacred. Maybe it's not about being lost, but about being willing to leave what doesn't feel like home, even when you don't know what comes next. So tonight, Lord, I lift up every restless soul, every person who has felt too different, too sensitive, too intense, too misunderstood to belong in shallow places. I pray for the ones who wander not out of rebellion, but out of longing. The ones aren't chasing fame or escape, but truth, peace, depth. You. Bless their feet, God, even when the path is unclear, even when the road is lonely. Bless their questions, for they are brave enough to ask what others are afraid to say out loud. Bless their ache, for it reminds them they are still alive, still searching, still open. And if they never find the home they imagine in this world, then let their hearts rest in the knowing that they are already held by the one who understands the ache. God, be the shelter for the ones with no fixed place. Be the belonging for the ones who feel like they don't belong. Be the voice that speaks in the silence when even prayer feels like wandering. And when their legs are tired and their hope is dim, wrap them in your love like a compass, not pointing to a place, but to a presence. To you. You are the destination and the journey, the home and the wilderness, the voice that calls and the silence that waits. So this is my prayer, God, for all the ones who wander. May their longing never harden into despair. May their questions never make them forget they are loved. May their wandering never make them believe they are lost. Because as long as they are still seeking, they are still on the way. And you are still walking with them. Always. Amen.
Rootless faith, when I can't settle spiritually. Dear God, I want to believe with both feet planted. I want to worship with my whole weight resting secure. I want to stand in my faith like it's solid ground, not shifting sand beneath me. But the truth is, lately, my faith feels like something I can't quite hold on to, like wind in my hands, like a house I keep building but can never seem to live in. It's not that I've stopped believing in you. No, God, I still believe. I just don't know how to belong inside belief anymore. I've tried, haven't I? You know I have. I've walked into churches and smiled like I fit. I've memorized verses and said all the right words. I've tried to anchor myself in community, in tradition, in structure, but it never takes root. It always feels foreign, like I'm borrowing someone else's language, repeating someone else's story, lifting my hands in someone else's way of knowing you. And I wonder, is something wrong with me? Why can't I settle spiritually? Why can't I plant deep like others do? Dig into one place, find home in one form of faith? Why does it all feel like a borrowed robe that's too long in the sleeves, too tight in the chest? I'm tired, Lord. Tired of explaining my questions, tired of performing peace, tired of pretending I'm not still searching. They say faith is a foundation, but what if mine is a boat, floating, shifting, still afloat, but never docked? They say commitment means settling, but what if it also means honesty? Because what I do have, Lord, is real. It may be rootless, but it's honest. It may not fit inside a box, but it clings to you with open hands. I still pray, even if the words change. I still believe, even if the structure crumbles. I still long for you, even if I can't always find you in the places others seem to. So, maybe rootless doesn't mean faithless. Maybe it just means I'm still learning to follow you without pretending. Maybe you are not threatened by a faith that wanders, by a soul that won't sit still, by a heart that still wrestles with the tension of believing and not always belonging. So tonight, I offer you my rootless faith. I offer you my questions, my discomfort, my doubts that ache for something deeper, not something easier. I won't force my soul to settle where it can't breathe. I won't shame myself for needing more than easy answers. I won't compare my path to someone else's peace. Because maybe faith isn't a place to arrive. Maybe it's a person to walk with. Maybe it's not where I've planted my feet, but where I've pointed my heart. So God, if I can't settle, let me keep seeking. If I can't root in systems, let me root in you. And if my faith always feels like movement, then let it move in your direction. Because even if I never find a spiritual home that wraps perfectly around my questions, I will not stop looking for you in the mystery. Even rootless, I belong. Amen.
Am I just too sensitive, or am I seeing what others don't? Dear God, I ask this more often than I care to admit. Is something wrong with me? Why do things cut so deep? Why do I feel what others brush off? Why do rooms feel loud, even when no one is speaking? Why does my heart tremble at things others don't even notice? I've been told I'm too much, too emotional, too intense, too easily moved. And so over time, I began to wonder if my sensitivity was a flaw, if maybe I needed thicker skin, a stronger filter, a heart that could harden just enough to function. But God, what if it's not that I'm too sensitive? What if I'm just tuned to a frequency the world doesn't hear? What if the thing I keep trying to shrink is actually something you gave me? Because I don't just feel emotions, I absorb them. I sit with the pain that others walk past. I hear what's not said. I notice what's broken beneath what looks fine. And it's heavy. It's exhausting. But maybe it's also holy. Maybe I wasn't made to be numb. Maybe I wasn't created to cope, but to care. To sense sorrow before it speaks. To see loneliness behind laughter. To ache with the world, even when I don't have answers to fix it. Maybe this is how you made me. Maybe this is how you are. After all, didn't you weep when others stayed silent? Didn't you pause for the bleeding woman while the crowd pushed on? Didn't you sit with grief while others rushed to miracles? God, if I feel too deeply, maybe I'm just a little closer to your heart. So tonight, I lay down the shame I've carried for being too soft. I release the fear that something's broken in me just because I ache more than others do. And I ask you to help me see this part of me not as a burden, but as a bridge, a way to stay human in a world that forgets how to feel. Let me not grow calloused just to survive. Let me not lose my tenderness to fit in. Let me feel, even when it hurts, even when it isolates me, even when no one else understands. And when I start to wonder if I'm seeing too much pain, too much complexity, too much truth, whisper this to my heart. You're not too sensitive. You're awake, and I've trusted you with sight. Let me carry that gently, Lord, not proudly, not fearfully, but faithfully. And if the world never affirms what I feel, let me still trust the voice within me, the one that sees what doesn't shout, the one that listens for what goes unsaid. Because sometimes what looks like too much is actually just enough to hold what's real. Amen.
The world isn't broken. I just wasn't made for it. Dear God, I used to think something was wrong with the world. Too fast, too loud, too cruel, too fake, too transactional, too shallow. I'd look around and wonder how anyone was okay, how people moved through their days like this was normal, like disconnection was acceptable, like noise was comfort, like exhaustion was a badge of honor. And for so long, I blamed the world. I cried out, "This can't be how it's supposed to be. Everything feels broken." But now, I'm beginning to wonder if the world isn't broken. Maybe it's just not built for people like me, people who crave stillness in a spinning culture, people who ache for depth in a surface-driven system, people who want softness when the world rewards sharp edges. God, maybe I wasn't made to thrive here. And maybe that's not a problem. Maybe it's by design. Because if I could fully adapt to this world, I might forget I was made for more. If I could feel at home in a world that sells worth, hides wounds, and calls numbness strength, then maybe I would lose the part of me that still longs for heaven. So maybe this ache, this constant friction between me and everything around me, isn't evidence of failure. It's evidence of origin. I didn't come from here, and I'm not staying here. And this world, for all its fleeting beauty, is not the end of the story. It's the middle, the in-between, the wandering place. God, I'm done trying to fit in. I'm done sanding down my soul to match a mold that was never made for me. I'm done thinking I'm too much, just because the world prefers people who don't feel quite so deeply. I wasn't made for this world. Not fully. Not comfortably. Not permanently. And that doesn't mean the world is evil. It means it's limited, temporal, training ground. A place to grow, but not a place to root my identity. So tonight, I stop asking to feel normal. I stop begging you to make this easier. I stop wondering if I'm defective just because I don't blend in. Instead, I lean into the divine discomfort, the sense that I'm passing through, that I carry eternity in my bones and cannot be satisfied with the temporary, that I bear the mark of heaven in a world that trades it for convenience and applause. And maybe, just maybe, you're proud of that. Maybe you're not frustrated with my struggle, but tender toward it. Maybe you whisper, "I know, I felt it too," because you once walked here and you didn't belong either. So I walk on, not to escape, but to remember. To remember that the ache is not proof of something missing, it's proof of something waiting. And when the world feels too harsh, too confusing, too much, let me not harden. Let me not give in. Let me not surrender my soul to what was never meant to hold it. Let me stay soft, stay awake, stay aware. Because I was made for something else, and every step I take with you gets me closer to the home that finally fits. Amen.
The cry of the restless soul. Dear God, there is a cry inside me that words can't hold. It doesn't sound like screaming. It doesn't even reach my throat. But it's there, low, aching, constant. It hums beneath everything I do. It lives in the silence after the noise ends. It curls up inside me when I lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what exactly I'm still searching for. God, I'm tired, not just in my body, but in my soul. There is a kind of restlessness that no sleep can cure. It's not about having too much to do. It's not about being overcommitted or underrested. It's something deeper, like an engine inside me that never turns off. Even in the quiet moments, I feel it turning, longing, reaching, aching. But for what? I don't even know anymore.
I've tried to satisfy it with purpose, with progress, with people. I've tried to silence it with praise, with practice, with peace talk. But nothing touches it. Nothing softens it for long. It's like I'm carrying a homesick song in the center of my chest that no one else can hear, and even I don't know the lyrics. All I know is this: my soul wants something more. Not more success, not more approval, not more noise. Just more of what's real. More of what lasts. More of what feels like it was made for me. And I wonder, God, is this how the psalmist felt when he wrote, "My soul thirsts for you in a dry and weary land"? Because that's what this is. A thirst, a cry. Not just for relief, but for you. Maybe all the restlessness, all the wandering, all the not quite fitting anywhere has always been about this one thing. I want you. Not just belief in you, not just duty toward you, but actual living communion with you. The kind that makes this world fade, the kind that stills the ache, the kind that wraps around a restless soul like breath, like light, like home. So tonight, I don't have fancy prayers. I don't have tidy answers. I just have this cry, this ancient cry that lives inside me like a heartbeat. God, I want you. I miss you. I need you. More than I need clarity, more than I need success, more than I need belonging in this world. I need you to meet me in the restlessness, in the aching space between what I have and what I was made for. And if the cry never fully fades, if I carry it all my life, then let it be the sound that draws me back to you, again and again and again. Let it be the holy hunger that keeps me reaching toward light, even when everything around me says settle. Let it be the reminder that I am more than this world has words for, and you are more than this world can hold. So I surrender the need to fix the ache. I surrender the shame of still crying. I surrender the lie that says restlessness means I've failed. No, Lord, it means I'm still alive, still listening, still reaching. And if the only home I ever truly find is your presence, then let it be enough. Amen.
The sacred ache when longing becomes a prayer. Dear God, there comes a point when words begin to fail, and all I have left is longing, a silent stretch of the soul, a reaching that doesn't ask, it just aches. I used to think prayer had to be formed, structured, clear, spoken with confidence, or whispered with certainty. But these days, all I can offer you is this ache, this quiet burn in the center of my chest that has no vocabulary, only direction. It moves toward you, always toward you, even when I don't know how, even when I don't feel you near, even when nothing in me knows what to say. The ache becomes the prayer. And I wonder, is that enough? When tears take the place of sentences, do you still hear? When my spirit groans, when I sit in silence, and all that fills the room is longing, does it rise like incense to you? Because it feels sacred. This ache is not a tantrum, not a demand, not a shallow desire for comfort. It's deeper, older. It's the echo of Eden in my bones, the homesickness for wholeness, the hunger to return to a love I was made from and keep forgetting how to touch. God,
maybe that's what this has always been, a divine ache. Not to escape life, but to remember something real. A yearning not to abandon the world, but to live in it without losing the memory of who I am in you. And sometimes that ache is all I have. No polished praise, no eloquent theology, just a soul that trembles in your direction. And that has to be enough. Because if you are who you say you are, then you don't just receive well-formed prayers. You receive hearts. You receive ache. You receive the unspoken grief and the wordless hope. You receive me. And so tonight, I will stop apologizing for this longing. I will stop calling it weakness. I will stop trying to numb it, tame it, silence it. Instead, I will offer it. I will hold it out like an offering bowl, empty yet full, silent yet singing, fragile yet holy. This ache is my prayer, God. Not a problem to be solved, but a place to meet you. And maybe the most honest prayer is not a sentence, but a sigh, a breath, a simple, whispered, I miss you. So if you hear anything from me tonight, hear this. I ache for you. I long for what I can't name. And I trust that this hunger is sacred because it leads me home. Amen.
God, can you meet me in this in-between? Dear God, I'm caught between what was and what's next, between who I used to be and who I'm becoming, between the ache that won't leave and the hope I'm scared to hold. This space, this middle ground, feels like a hallway with no doors, like I'm floating, not falling, not flying, just suspended. And some days, I'm okay with it. I accept the mystery, I trust the unfolding, but other days, I feel lost, tired of waiting, tired of trying, tired of living in a version of life that feels not broken, but unfinished. God, this in-between season is where everything blurs. The lines between peace and numbness, between faith and doubt, between stillness and stagnation. I want to move forward, but I don't know where forward is. I want to believe there's meaning here, but I can't find the words to name it. And so I ask you, with trembling honesty, can you meet me here? Not on the mountaintop, not in the breakthrough, not in the resolution, but here, in the waiting, in the wandering, in the hollow ache of not knowing. Because this is where I live now, in the place between clarity and confusion, between belonging and exile, between yesterday's faith and tomorrow's hope. This is where I cry quietly. This is where I smile publicly, but unravel privately. This is where I ask questions that no one around me is willing to answer. This is where I long for you, but feel like I'm praying through glass. And yet, I haven't given up, because something in me, something deeper than fear, still whispers that you are near. Maybe not loud, maybe not visible, but near. So I won't ask you to take me out of this place. I'll just ask you to sit with me in it, to hold my hand in the hallway, to rest beside me while I wait for doors to open, paths to clear, and feelings to make sense again. Meet me in the mornings when I feel nothing. Meet me in the afternoons when my hope flickers. Meet me in the nights when silence is too loud. And if nothing changes tomorrow, then just be with me. Because your presence is the only thing that can turn the in-between into sacred ground. And maybe I'll look back someday and realize this middle space, this stretch of uncertainty, was where I grew the most. Maybe this is where my roots are deepening in invisible ways. Maybe this is not the absence of movement, but the forming of resilience, of trust, of peace that no circumstance can take. So I'll stay, not because I understand, but because I choose to trust that you are here too, in the waiting, in the in-between, in the slow, unseen miracle of staying close, even when I don't know where I'm going. Amen.
Maybe heaven isn't a place, but a memory of wholeness. Dear God, what if the thing I've been searching for was never meant to be found on a map? What if heaven isn't somewhere I go, but something I remember? Not with my mind, but with my soul. Because sometimes, Lord, when the world is quiet enough, when I'm not trying so hard to be okay, I feel it. A flicker of something whole. A moment of stillness that feels like home. A breath that doesn't hurt. A presence that doesn't ask me to be anything other than here. It doesn't last long. It's gone before I can hold it. But for those few seconds, I remember something I've never seen with my eyes. And it makes me wonder, God, maybe heaven isn't just someday. Maybe it's not only golden gates or endless choirs or skies we've never touched. Maybe it's not distant. Maybe it's imprinted. Etched into the bones of our being, laced into our breath, woven through every longing we don't know how to name. Maybe that's why we ache for much. Not because something's wrong, but because something once was right. Maybe we're not lost. We're just homesick for a wholeness our hearts still remember. Before the break, before the wounds, before the forgetting. God, what if every holy ache, every tender cry, every moment of wonder is the echo of a garden we were never meant to leave? What if heaven is the feeling of being fully known and completely unafraid? What if it's the hush that falls when we stop trying to earn love and realize we already are? What if it's the quiet knowing that we are not broken pieces, but scattered light waiting to be gathered again? I think I've been chasing heaven like a destination, but maybe it's always been whispering to me from within. Not to escape this world, but to walk through it, awake, to see glimpses of glory in grief, to taste eternity in presence, to hold the sacred in the ordinary. And maybe when this life ends, it won't feel like entering something new, but returning to something old, something ancient, something my soul always knew, but forgot how to describe. And maybe that's why the ache never leaves, because it's not a problem, it's a promise, a gentle reminder that something more exists, that wholeness is not a myth, that peace is not a fantasy, that love, true, unconditional, soul-deep love, is not gone. It's just waiting. So, tonight, Lord, I will stop striving. I will stop running. I will sit with the ache and listen to what it's telling me. And when I feel that flicker of home, in a moment of stillness, in the warmth of kindness, in the tears that finally fall, I'll whisper, I remember this. Because maybe heaven isn't a place I'll someday reach. Maybe it's the memory of who I've always been when I'm with you. Amen.
Finding shelter in divine stillness. Dear God, I've spent so much of my life running from pain, running toward answers, running to prove I'm not lost, not behind, not broken. But lately, my soul is tired. Not just tired, exhausted, worn down from striving, stretched thin by searching, bruised from bumping into expectations I was never meant to carry. And in the middle of all that motion, I've come to realize something. What I need most isn't more movement, it's stillness. Stillness that doesn't punish, stillness that doesn't press for productivity, stillness that doesn't ask for anything in return. Just space, just breath, just you. God, is it true that you don't need me to earn my rest? That you're not waiting for me to finish healing before I sit down in your presence? That you're not standing at the finish line, you're here, in the middle, in the mess, in the slowing down. Because if that's true, then maybe I don't have to hold myself together tonight. Maybe I can simply stop and let you hold me. Let you be the shelter I keep trying to build with my own hands. Let you be the calm I keep chasing through external peace. Because nothing outside me ever stills the storm inside. Not for long. Only you can do that. And maybe I've been afraid of stillness because it forces me to feel. It removes the distractions. It strips away performance. It holds up a mirror. But maybe stillness is where I finally come home. Home to a God who doesn't need me to say the right thing, who doesn't measure my worth by my clarity, who doesn't withdraw when I go quiet, but draws closer. So tonight I lay it all down. The weight, the questions, the roles I perform, the pressure to figure it out. I crawl into the stillness like a child, into the arms of someone who won't let go. And there, I hear it. Not a voice, not a solution, just a presence. Warm, wide, steady. It doesn't fix the ache. It doesn't erase the questions. But it gives me something I forgot I needed. Shelter. A place to stop pretending. A space to rest, not just my body, but my soul. God, if you are stillness, then let me find you in the quiet I've been running from. Let your silence be safe. Let your stillness be sacred. Let your nearness be enough. Because maybe peace isn't the absence of noise. Maybe it's the presence of someone who doesn't leave when the noise fades. So I will breathe. I will stop, and I will let the stillness hold me. Not because I'm done, but because I'm loved. And in that stillness, I am not lost. I am found. Amen.
The slow unfolding of belonging. Dear God, I used to think belonging would happen all at once, like opening a door and stepping inside, like being invited in all at once by someone saying, "You're home now." But it hasn't happened that way. Not for me. Not yet. Belonging, for me, hasn't been a grand arrival. It's been slow, uneven, a quiet unfolding, like petals unsure if they're allowed to bloom.
sometimes I feel close, like I'm finally settling into a space that sees me, like I've found people who don't need me to shrink or explain. But then something shifts, and the ache returns. And I wonder again, do I really belong anywhere? God, maybe the question isn't, where do I belong? Maybe it's, how do I become someone who belongs? Because maybe belonging isn't just a place to find, it's a posture to grow into. A gentle learning to stay, to receive, to soften into the truth that I am already loved, even if I don't feel it yet. Belonging isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with certainty. It creeps in quietly, in moments when I laugh without watching how I sound, in places where I no longer need to explain why I'm quiet, in friendships where my presence is not a burden, but a gift. And even then, it's not perfect. It still ebbs. It still flickers. But I'm learning, God, that maybe that's okay. Maybe I don't have to feel it fully to trust it's real. Maybe the soil of belonging takes time to recognize my roots. And maybe I take time to believe I'm worthy to plant myself there. So tonight, I want to thank you for every small moment that's helped me unfold a little more. For the smile that felt like sunlight, for the silence that didn't feel like judgment. For the person who stayed, not because I was perfect, but because I was me. Those moments matter, even when they're brief, even when they don't fix the ache. They're seeds. And you, Lord, are the patient gardener. So if belonging takes time, let me give it time. Let me not rush the process or compare my pace to someone else's roots. Let me trust that even if I feel unsure today, you are still working under the surface, teaching me to stay, to trust, to breathe, to believe that I can be held without having to first perform. And maybe someday I'll look back and realize I've been belonging all along, not because the world finally gave me a place, but because I finally let myself be seen. Because I let you in and you made a home in me even while I was still searching. So tonight, I exhale and I whisper, I'm learning how to belong. And that is a holy beginning. Amen.
A final whisper. I trust you remember what I've forgotten. Dear God, I've run out of words. Not because there's nothing left to say, but because I finally reached the quiet beneath the ache. The place where longing softens, where questions no longer demand answers, where I stop striving and start trusting. Because after all the wandering, after all the prayers that felt more like reaching than resting, after all the ache I've carried like a second heartbeat, I come to this one simple truth. I may not remember who I am fully. I may not know where I belong completely. I may not understand why the ache still lingers, but you do. You remember what I've forgotten. You remember where I came from. Before the noise, before the wounds, before the pretending. You remember the version of me that hasn't been buried by fear or performance. You remember my soul's true shape,
even when I twist myself to fit places that were never meant to hold me. You remember the home my heart still aches for. And that is enough for me tonight. Because I don't need to have it all figured out. I don't need the map. I don't need the finish line. I just need to know that you're still holding the pieces. The parts of me I've lost in trying to be strong, the parts I silenced to survive, the soft, sacred parts that this world doesn't reward, but you cherish. So tonight, I don't ask for clarity. I ask for comfort. Not the kind that numbs, but the kind that reminds me I haven't been forgotten. Even if I forget the sound of your voice, you remember the way I lean into you when I'm scared. Even if I forget how to pray, you remember every sigh, every tear, every breath. Even if I forget what peace feels like, you hold the memory and whisper it back to me in moments I least expect. God, I trust you. Not because I always feel brave, not because I've mastered faith, but because you have proven again and again that you are the one constant when everything else unravels. So I place my ache in your hands. I place my questions, my restlessness, my quiet griefs and unnamed hopes, all of it into the arms of the one who remembers. Because you are not confused by me. You are not impatient with my process. You are not disappointed by my weariness. You see the whole picture. You hear the song my soul is still learning how to sing. And if I forget everything else, my way, my worth, even my voice, let me remember this. You will not forget me. You will remember until I remember again. Until I find my way home, until I feel whole, until I stand in the light and say with wonder, oh, this is what I was missing. Until then, I will keep whispering, even if it's soft, even if it's broken, even if it's silent, because I know you hear me, and that is enough. Amen.